Hi everybody, welcome to my magical inkery tour. Today I'm going to walk you through how I make a clean and simple card using images from Maremi's journaling books. These are created for art journaling, but you can certainly use the images for cards. And so each book, it's like a magazine, it is just full of images, and you can see as I flip through that I've already cut some of them out. But they're really beautiful. You can layer them to make some multimedia art. But today, since we are sticking with a clean and simple design, I am going to use just one image on my card. So we're going to need to start out with a piece of 4 3/4 by 4 3/4 by 6 3/4 piece of multifarious cardstock, and this is a very heavyweight cardstock, so it's going to hold up to really well with all the different mediums that we're going to use. And then I have a card base for my completed card that is 5 by 7. It is a 10 by 7 piece of cardstock folded in half to make a 5 by 7 card base. I'm going to place that right over there so I don't lose it. And the thing about clean and simple designs is that you want a design where most of your card is a white background. So I have gone ahead and pre-selected a few distress oxides that really coordinate well with some of the images from this book. And I've cut a few out. I have this fairy who's cut very close to the edge. I have a few fairies I've fussy cut, and I've left lots of white space. This one's really cute. So I think either of these two will work, but let's put them aside for a minute. I just want to show you that there are lots of different sized fairies in this book, and some of them are really big, which is great for a layered journal page or a larger card, but she's a little bit too big for us to use on a clean and simple card because she takes up most of the background. So we're going to put these aside, and let's choose between these two, and either one of them will work, but I think I'm going to go with this one. I really like the greens and the blues in the background, and I think that'll make a nice clean and simple design. So I'm going to start out with a very soft, dry, clean brush that I'm going to dip into a gel, a clear gesso, and this is kind of like a gel. It will dry clear, and when it goes on, it looks shiny, but when it dries, it's a matte finish. So the first thing I'm going to do is just add a layer of that to my background. And I want this to be a quick card. So I'm just going to slap a little bit of gesso on there very quickly. And I'm going to put my brush aside because I want it to stay dry. I found that if I use it and the brush is wet, it pulls the ink off of the images, and I don't want that to happen today. I'm going to stick it down with some Elmer's glue restick. So this is great. It's recommended by Marta, who creates the books. And so I did go ahead and order it when I ordered her books. It allows you to reposition your images for up to about 5 minutes after you've placed them down. It might not be completely necessary because it's the only image we're putting on our card today, but I'm going to place it right on top of the gesso, and I'm just going to stick that down. Make sure it's pressed all the way down, especially around the edges. And she looks a little crooked to me, but I don't know if that's just my angle. All right, I'm going to use my heat tool just to dry the background off quickly. All right, I can see that my gesso is dry because it's not shiny anymore. It's a nice matte finish. I'm going to cool this off, and we're going to go over it with another layer of gesso. And that is so that we can add some distress oxides to the top, and we'll get a consistent look between anything that lands or you might want to use on your image and on your background. So we're going to cover both with just another coat of gesso. And at this point, if there's anything popping up, we can kind of use the gesso to stick it down. Make sure it's on there really well. All right, and that'll probably do it for the gesso. So I'm going to close my jar and wash my brush because I want it to stay clean and soft for the next time that I use it. Right, I'm going to come back with my heat tool and just give it a quick blast again. Okay, and that is nice and dry. So I'm going to go ahead and smush each of my ink pads right onto my mat. I'm going to create a little bit of a wash with those. So I'm using speckled egg, saltwater taffy, and peeled paint. I'm not sure if I explained that clearly at the beginning. Oops, my peeled paint actually came in an ink pad. It just falls out of the package, but it still works, so I'm just going to go with it and maybe replace it later. I'm not really sure how to glue that on, so if anybody knows, please leave me a comment in the description box here. All right, so I have gone ahead and just kind of made a little bit of a wash with each of these. Now at this point, I can come in, and if I want to blend in the bottom of my image with some of my ink, I can do that here. And remembering when you do a clean and simple card, you really don't want to use more than 3 colors, maybe 4 at the most. But I think less is more. Okay. And when you're using the gesso, you can even go ahead and wash it out a little bit. And your card stays nice and kind of even. Now I'm going to use my fan brush and just add a little bit of splatter. And I think this needs to be a little wet, a little more water than I had on there to begin with. I'm going to wipe that up because I don't want to get my card saturated. All right, so let's see, I can add a little bit of tissue just to her face. If you want to, cover her face and make sure you don't get any on there, you just cover it with a piece of scrap paper or a piece of tissue or whatever you'd like. And we're starting with the peeled paint. So I'm just going to tap my brush right over the top. just to get a little bit of splatter on there. Okay, I'm gonna rinse that out. That was the peel paint. Let's come back and do the same thing with the saltwater taffy. I'll add a little bit of pink. And I'm just gonna go across my card. Okay. Now I'm going to wipe this up because you know me, I would be very likely to drop my whole card face down right into the middle of all that ink, and I don't want that to happen. Okay, so I'm going to move this over here. We can take this off. So there we have our image. And this is a good time to maybe add some words. So in these books, Marta adds pages with words. Let's see if we can find some of that. We give that just a minute to dry. And, okay, here we go. There's a page of words. Let's see if we can pick one that will match well. I've got Enchanted, Twilight Glade, Whispering. I think let's go ahead and add, I don't even know which one I want to use. I'm just going to cut them all out. Which one would you use? I think I'm going to go with the Enchanted. So I'm just going to quickly, these are not my preferred scissors, but I'm not sure where I put those today. So I'm just going to go ahead and snip this out. You probably agree this is going to make a beautiful background for another card later on, but doesn't work so well for a clean and simple design. Okay, so I think I'm just going to place that there, and I'll use some more glue from my glue stick. Okay. And place it on my card down here. Now if it comes out just a little bit crooked, it's easy enough because it does have a 5-minute dry time. It should be easy to lift it up and just kind of move it around a little bit. And that seems to have done the trick. Make sure my brush is nice and dry, and I'm going to use a little more gel medium just to kind of glue that down, and we'll add a little bit of detail around it. And I do want to be careful not to disturb the splatter that I've added around my image. So I think that will do. And I'm going to add another color. I'm going to come back with some vintage photo just to add a little bit of detail around those words. So make a little bit of a wash with it. Right. And it is, you know, because we've added gesso, if we decide we don't like the color, I'm not so sure that I like that, I can just mop it up with a paper towel, and I'm going to come back in and add some speckled egg over the top. All right, and there we go. Once it's dry, I'm going to be able to add it to my card base. Let's just dry it right now. And we'll just need our glue. Add it to my back of my card. Put it on my topper. I'm going to burnish it just to make sure it's stuck there really well. And there we have it, a clean and simple card that was quick and easy to do. I want to thank you for joining me today, and if you're not already subscribed, please make sure that you hit the button, the bell, to subscribe to my channel so you never miss a video, and check the description box below because there is a link to my friend Andy's blog, and her and I are doing a challenge today. So thanks for coming. See you soon.